Hi everyone, I hope you're well today. We are talking about Kat Von D today. More specifically, we're talking about my top 5 items from Kat Von D. Kat Von D is available exclusively through Sephora in Australia. It's one of the most popular brands available from the store, and for good reason. I feel like their products are usually very high quality, very pigmented, like pigmentation is great in most of the products. The packaging is gorgeous. It's just a really cool vibe. So if you're interested in finding out what my top 5 picks are from Kat Von D, the top 5 things you really must try, then stay tuned. So I'm wearing all 5 of my top 5 from Kat Von D today. There are some face products, face products that I've used as eye products. There are a lot of lip products. And the first thing I'll share with you is the Shade and Light palette. This is the contour palette that's available from the brand. It's a nice sturdy packaging. It's quite heavy, it's got a lot of weight to it, feels like it's high quality. As with all Kat Von D products, the packaging is lovely, the design is lovely. She's got this lovely stylized font that she uses across quite a lot of her products. There's often, considering her background, there's often quite a lot of tattoo motifs, roses, all sorts of things. And this palette is no exception. Now I've used the palette today on my face to both bronze and contour a little bit. And I've also used it on the eyes as an eyeshadow. So these contour and highlight shades are very, very pigmented, but not too pigmented that they look muddy. Now the palette does have a high quality, nice mirror, which adds to a bit of the weight of the product. It's a great feature. And we have then 6 shades inside. The top shades, or the light shades, all have names starting with L. So we have Lucid, Levitation, and Lyric. And the shades on the bottom all have, they're obviously the shades, and they all have names starting with S. So we have, I can never remember these. We have Somber, Shadow Play, and Subconscious. Now, the shades in this palette are my favorite as opposed to the light shades. And I like them because of the tones. Now, all 3 tones have a nice cool undertone, although this one in the middle does have a slightly more warm undertone. But all 3, even though we have, varying intensities of darkness, all work well on my very light skin. At the moment, my cat's come in and she's threatening to knock over the camera. You might see a tail or something, when she comes in to say hello. Hi. So, we've now got a cat here. I don't know if you can see her or not, but she wants some attention. So all of these shades are very, very usable, okay? So I'll just quickly show you. I'm trying to work here. 3 of these shades down here are very, very usable, and they're quite nice on the skin. You're not going to let me work, are you? I just want to film this video and she keeps interrupting. Okay, so all 3 of the bottom shades are really, really wearable, even on light skin like mine. I tend not to use this one as much as the other 2, but these 2 worked really lightly into the skin, work really well. I'll show you what these look like on the back of my hand so you can see that the pigmentation is good, but it's not so richly pigmented that it's going to leave streaky marks all over your face. So going in and touching these powders, they're really nice and silky soft. I think the middle one's probably the most silky. And there is some nice pigmentation there, can you see? And on the skin, they do blend really well. I've got some cat scratches there for you to have a look at. Having a look there, you can see they kind of blend out quite well. There's nothing on my skin at the moment. Going on to the light shades, you can see that these are well used. A light skin tone shade there. We have a banana type shade, and then we have an almost peachy type shade. So swatching these out for you. Again, a good amount of pigmentation, and I have used these again as just a face powder. So as I did mention, I also use these on my eyes. There is a palette with the same name, the Shade and Light Eye Palette. However, I really like this. I think the colours in here suit my brown eyes quite well, and they're very, very blendable on the eyes. On to another eye product. Now, this is my newest obsession. I purchased this only a few weeks ago, and this is the Metal Crush eyeshadow, and it's in the shade Thunderstruck. Now, I did use this on the inner corner of my eyes today, but I do have a bit of a soft spot for this as a highlight. Now, in the pan, it doesn't look like much more than a frosty white, but when you do swatch it out, it has kind of like a pearlescent glow about it. So it's just got this beautiful shift to it, and it's kind of got, I want to say purple, pinky purple in it, but it is definitely a white shadow. My third must-have from Kat Von D is the tattoo liner. Now, a lot of people love this, and for good reason. It just keeps going and going and going. We have a brush nib with lots of little hairs as opposed to a felt tip, which I think is part of the reason why it doesn't dry out as quick as a usual liquid liner. I have had this liner for, I don't want to say a year, but close to it, and it still keeps on giving. So it's just a beautiful black liner. I think the brush or the nib is what makes a difference. You can see you can get quite a thick line, you can get quite a thin line. It just keeps on giving, and it's very, very super black. It's matte. What else can you ask for? The fourth thing that you really must try from Kat Von D are a lip product, and they are the ever famous Everlasting Liquid Lips. So these are one of the first liquid lipsticks that sort of made it on the scene, and the really famous or cult shade is Lolita. Now I picked this up at the beginning of this year. This is the duo, so there's minis there of Lolita and Lolita 2. These are great. They're not as dry as some others, but they are still quite dry. The wand is quite good. They dry down quite quickly. The only thing I can say about them that's a negative is they are a little bit patchy, so you will need to go in and fill in. Here's what we're talking about. So it goes on quite smoothly, but on the lips it can be a little bit patchy. That is Lolita. And then Lolita 2 is again the one that I said was a little bit warmer. And it's got more of a rosy tone to it. Now these are just about matte. I wanted to show you how these dry down. So they do dry down completely. They're not 100% of the way there for me yet, but they do end up being really nice and matte if that's what you're after. All right, now moving on to our last product, our must-have from the brand, and these are the studded lipsticks. Now I love the packaging on these. Can you see how gorgeous that is? So it's got that studded finish to the outside. It is very, very easy to pick these out from the rest of your lipsticks. However, the only negative I have about these is that they do not fit in lipstick holders, so they're a little bit too fat to fit into those. My three favorite shades in this collection are as follows. Bachelorette is a beautiful, beautiful bright red with a pink undertone. It is so flattering on me and on many other people. It's opaque at basically one swipe. It's creamy. It's not too dry, however it is more on the dry side. Lovecraft is a very flattering nude kind of on the mauve side, so it's that dusty, rosy mauve nude. Again, great colour payoff, just really pretty. And then finally, I looked for this shade for a long time. It was never in stock. On my birthday earlier this year, you may have heard this story, I went into Sephora. We were staying in the city, and it was early in the morning, and I was looking through the lipsticks in Sephora, and there was one that was turned the wrong way, so the shade wasn't facing out. So I picked it out, and it actually ended up being Lolita. I don't think I've ever seen a Lolita in store. I actually brought it to the counter to pay for it, and the salesperson was like, "Where did you find that? Like, I've never seen one." So that's amazing. I don't know. I guess it was my birthday gift from the Sephora gods. But Lolita is slightly different actually to the liquid lipstick shade. So it's a little bit softer and not as dark and harsh. Now it's based on the same shade, but like I said, it's kind of got a little bit more rosiness, and I think it's personally for me a little bit more wearable. Now what I also love about the studded lipsticks is not only do you get these beautiful wearable kind of glam colours, but the lipsticks come in a whole bunch of funky colours too. So for a super nude peachy look, we have the shade Noble, and I'm just going to swatch it here for you. And then for those of you who are a little bit more brave than I am, there is Coven, which is really cool. Can you see that? How gorgeous is that? So those were my top 5 Kat Von D products. There's a whole bunch of other stuff I'd love to try. So things like the foundations and some more of the palette. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love for you to subscribe if you're not already. And I would also love for you to leave me a comment below. Let me know what you love from the brand. Thanks. Bye.